How can an apparent first world country have such a shit election system? As you may have guessed, I'm an American. I don't stay up to date with politics too much, but I try to at least know who my next president will be. I'd really like to vote, but I'm finding the system to do so a little bit uninviting. If you go online right now and take a look at who's winning the most delegates in the primaries, you'll notice something a little bit odd. There's a little extra feature here with the Democrats in the form of superdelegates. So you're telling me that the way these two parties select their candidates is different. Why would it be different? Why don't the Republicans have superdelegates? Do we even need superdelegates? What the fuck is a superdelegate? Superdelegates can support any candidate and it isn't finalized until July. Oh, good. So people who make up about half of the total delegates can just switch their vote if fortune favors it. Really? Really, America? And it turns out that these superdelegates aren't even elected. They're just distinguished party leaders. So it seems to me that voting in the primaries, at least for the Democratic candidate, doesn't really matter. Skip ahead a bit and we get to the actual presidential election. Now you would think that voting here matters a little more. You would think that. The popular vote doesn't really matter as much as one would assume. That is, the votes you cast for a particular person isn't actually what decides who wins. It only influences people called electors who then vote on your behalf for the president. Now you might be saying, that kind of makes sense, but you'd be wrong. Let's say a state has 10 electors. You might assume that if 60% of the votes go toward candidate A, then 6 electors are selected and the other 4 go toward candidate B. It would be logical to spread the elector votes to represent the people's votes, right? But this is America! You won't fucking believe this, but the candidate who receives the majority elector support gets all of the electors. That means that the candidate you didn't vote for gets your vote anyway if more people vote for him. It basically means that voting in a state that primarily votes a different way than you is completely fucking pointless. You have no say over who wins the presidency. It also means that even if the majority of people in the US voted a certain way, the less popular candidate would still win the election, just based on strategically selecting which states to try and get the majority support in. This exact thing happened in 2000. Al Gore got the majority of the popular vote. More people wanted him as president. But George Bush received more electoral votes and won because of it. How do people ignore this? This next part is really going to blow your mind. Alright, so you know that the elector system isn't exactly representative of the people, but you have no idea just how fucked it really is. Electors don't have to vote for the candidate that they are supposed to represent. I'm not making this shit up. You can go to archives.gov and look at this. Look, there is no law that requires electors to vote according to the results of the popular vote in their states. Are you fucking kidding me? The Constitution does not require that electors be completely free to act as they choose, and therefore political parties may extract pledges from electors to vote for the party nominees. What? Okay, to me that sounds a lot like political parties have the ability to legally buy electors. Now I couldn't find anything that specifically said this was the case, but there doesn't seem to be any federal laws against it. So let's say you still feel like your vote isn't entirely meaningless. Well, who do you vote for? I don't think the candidates are actually lawfully required to follow through with anything they say on stage. So what you should do is look into their past and maybe see how they act. But where one news site talks about all the great things they've done, another one will talk about those same actions and make it sound like they're a villain. So who can you trust to give you actual news? Good fucking luck figuring that one out. I've heard that an uninformed vote is worse than no vote, but I'm starting to think that there isn't a whole lot of difference between voting and not voting in the first place. How did this get so bad? How is it that the people basically have no control over who their president is? And people don't even seem to care. I'm not kidding, I tell them this shit and they ignore it. And then they tell me that I have no right to complain about politics if I don't vote. Completely missing the point of what it is I'm even talking about. Alright, this shit is stressing me out. I need a drink now. I'm Kothorix, and you try to have a wonderful day. Okay, so at the end of each of my videos, I want to give a shout out to one of my subscribers with an active channel. Today's shout out goes to Barney Productions, who lately has been posting World of Warcraft Iron Man challenge videos. So go take a look at that if you're interested.